Garfield in Garfield's Scary Tale. Get ready to pull those covers over your head. Garfield is coming your way in 5 very scary stories. Monsters, a ghost, and even a computer gone haywire. Keep the lovable fat cat running to save his orange and black fur. But no matter how spooky things get, when Garfield is around, there's a bundle of laughs along with the shivers and shakes. UK price £3.95.
Jim Davis didn't even write these.
The Midnight Stalker.
Here we are, boys,
said John Arbuckle to Garfield and Odie as he drove the car up a gravel driveway. Garfield opened his eyes. At the end of the drive stood a 2-story building of dark, rough stone. A sign outside read, "Wary Inn, established 1837.
This place is supposed to have lots of atmosphere,
said John Arbuckle. That means lumpy old beds and outside toilets, grumbled Garfield. A bearded man came out to greet them. Welcome. I'm Peter Wary. My great-great-great-grandfather built this inn. By any chance did he build a burger bar round the back? Asked Garfield. I'm hungry. You'll be staying one night, Mr. Arbuckle?
Right,
replied John Arbuckle.
We're just driving through. You do allow pets, don't you?
Oh, yes, said Mr. Wary. I have a cat of my own. But we recommend that you keep your pets in the room, especially on a night like tonight. There's going to be a full moon. We've had a few problems during the full moon. It's really nothing to worry about. Just that a few pets have met with some rather nasty accidents.
Like what?
Asked John Arbuckle. Let's just say that your cat might make a tempting treat for something out there. That's it. We're getting out of here, said Garfield. John Arbuckle had to pry Garfield's paws off the dashboard, but he finally got the cat out of the car and into their room.
Stop being such a scaredy cat,
said John Arbuckle.
But the one thing I'm not, yeah, the one thing I'm not, I say the one thing I'm not is a scaredy cat.
The one thing he's not is a scaredy cat.
There isn't a motel for 100 miles. We'll just have to stay here tonight.
Okay, replied Garfield. But if I get eaten, I'm going to be very grumpy in the morning. After they had finished dinner, Garfield cautiously nosed his way around the old inn. In the parlor, he discovered another cat perched on a windowsill. The cat wore a leather collar with a gold nameplate that said Beazle. If you're thinking about going out, I wouldn't, said Garfield.
Then you've heard about it,
said Beazle. Pretty frightening, said Garfield.
When you've lived here as long as I have, you get used to it. Still, I'm never quite myself when there's a full moon.
Get the hint? You live here, said Garfield. Then you must know all about this thing. What is it?
No one knows for sure,
replied Beazle. Maybe it's just a figment of the imagination.
Would a figment eat a bulldog?
Garfield gulped. Nice talking to you, Beazle, he said. I'm going up to bed. Beazle gave a half smile, then turned his head to stare at the rising moon. That night, John and Odie slept soundly, but Garfield lay on the bed, wide awake. The longer he lay awake, the hungrier he got. I don't care how hungry you get, Garfield said to his tummy. No way am I getting out of this bed. But in the end, Garfield's appetite was stronger than his fear. I'll just grab some food from the kitchen and race right back here, Garfield decided. He slipped off the bed and out of the door, carefully checking everything in front of him and behind him. Garfield padded quickly down the hall. The old house, which had been creaking all night, seemed suddenly still. Almost there, Garfield told himself. Crossing the parlor, he saw the empty windowsill where Beazle had been sitting. The memory of their conversation made Garfield shiver. Bang! With a shriek, Garfield leapt onto the parlor chandelier. But the noise was only the old grandfather clock, chiming midnight. I'll get you for that, Grandpa, Garfield said to the clock. At last he reached the kitchen and he yanked open the refrigerator door. Yellow light spilled across the floor, throwing huge shadows on the walls. On the top shelf was a banana custard flan. This will do, said Garfield, snatching up the flan. I hate to eat and run, so I'll run first, then eat. As he turned, Garfield suddenly saw two burning red eyes staring at him from the shadows. Above the eyes, two long, pointed ears twitched excitedly. Garfield's hair stood on end. With an evil hiss, the shadowy thing moved toward him. Garfield caught a glimpse of glistening teeth and long, jagged claws. A bit of gold gleamed at its neck. Garfield tried to scream, but his scream died of fright before it ever left his throat. He could think of only one thing to do. With all the strength he could summon, he hurled the banana custard flan at the thing. The monster recoiled in surprise, and Garfield dashed past it. Running faster than he had ever run, Garfield raced upstairs and into the room. He slammed the door and dived into the bed, knocking John and Odie off the other side. Next morning, Mr. Wary asked John Arbuckle, "Have a good sleep?"
My cat went crazy, but that's not unusual,
replied John Arbuckle. "Something made a banana custard mess in our kitchen," said Mr. Wary. "Maybe the monster dropped in for dessert." "Yeah, like a slice of Garfield," said Garfield. Garfield couldn't wait for John Arbuckle to pack the car. He honked the horn impatiently. Finally, John Arbuckle climbed behind the wheel and started the engine. The car moved down the drive. The last thing Garfield saw was Beazle staring hungrily at him from the parlor window, the sunlight twinkling on the little golden nameplate on his neck.